good evening to all. It is my privilege to introduce one of the senior most professors from South India in the field of law. I have the privilege of knowing the professor for the last about 2 decades. Professor K.C. Sunny, Vice Chancellor, New York, that is National University of Advanced, Legal Studies, has 30 years of experience as a teacher in Kerala University and also Central University of Kerala, out of which 11 years as professor and 8 years as dean after passing LLM examination with first rank in the university in the year 1986. He started his teaching career in 1986 in Kerala Law Academy and Law College, the institution in which he did LLB and LLM. Later, he joined to research with UGC Fellowship and secured PhD, joined in Kerala University Department of Law, Karyavotam campus in 1990, and he has published the book Corrupt Practices in Election Law and more than 45 research papers. 17 students, including 2 foreign students, successfully completed PhD under his supervision. Professor Sunny was the international observer to Nepal Constituent Assembly election 2006 and Bangladesh Parliament election 2007. He had delivered lectures in 6 foreign universities, had interactive sessions in 6 foreign universities, including Harvard Law School. He served as the program chair of the International Conference on Law and Public Policy held at Singapore for 7 years. And another thing I would like to inform the participants that Professor Sunny has been instrumental in producing a record number of junior research fellows while he was at the helm of affairs in Department of Law in University of Kerala, Tirunelveli. In fact, whenever I visited the Department of Law, I was told that every year minimum 20 JRF scholars qualified from that single department. And when I inquired, I found that it is because of the unique curriculum and the teaching methodology, practice sessions, etc., introduced and adopted by Professor Sunny. So therefore, as an accomplished teacher and an experienced law faculty and administrator, Professor Sunny is the most appropriate person to deliver a lecture on Bloom's taxonomy and its role in teaching of law. I thank the organizers for giving me this wonderful opportunity, and over to the organizers, sir. Thank you very much.
Now I request the expert speaker for the session, Professor Dr. K.C. Sunny, to, sir, please start the session. Thank you so much.
Professor G.V. Reddy, other faculty members, and dear teachers. I am extremely happy in becoming the part of this faculty development program organized by one of the prestigious universities in India, Osmania University. And Professor G.B. Reddy is my close friend. And actually I have close relationship with faculty members of the Osmania University, starting from Professor Nageshwar Rao, though he was very senior person. From my earlier career as a law teacher, I had some opportunity to interact with Professor Nageshwar Rao, Professor Srinivasa Rao, then later Professor Y.F. Jayakumar. I am happy in noting that now also Osmania University has a very good academic leadership in Department of Law, led by none other than Professor G.V. Reddy, who is a very good researcher and a teacher. The topic assigned to me is Bloom's taxonomy and learning the law. In the Bloom's taxonomy was introduced in the year 1956. Benjamin Bloom was basically an educational psychologist, and after conducting thorough research with his colleagues Max Engelhardt, Edward Frost, Walter Hill, and David Tathovel, he published a book dealing with categorization of educational goal. The title of the book is Taxonomy of Educational Objective. When we are discussing about objectives of education at all levels, starting from the level of lower kindergarten to postdoctoral research, there are three basic main objectives. Firstly, imparting of knowledge. Second, development of skills. Third, inculcation of values. Knowledge, skills, and values. These are the basic objectives of education. Then, starting from the first component itself, that is imparting of knowledge, there are so many confusions regarding the ambit of the concept and modality to be achieved for achieving the basic objective, etc., etc. For example, knowledge. What is the difference between knowledge and information? What is the difference between knowledge and wisdom? What is the difference between knowledge and prudence, etc., etc.? There may be so many confusions in this regard. The scientific study conducted by Benjamin Bloom resulted in identifying certain scientific methods for classification of the basic objectives of education within the framework of knowledge, skills, and values. The study is founded on the basic issue of the student outcome. Now, for the purpose of NAAC accreditation and other things, we are restructuring our syllabus, and in the process of restructuring, we will say that the outcome should be clearly identified, learning objectives should be spelled out, etc., etc. Anyway, the outcome is very, very important as far as any human activity is concerned. The education is for the purpose of students or enabling them to develop their full faculty. In the process of development of the faculty of any individual in its full entirety, in formal education, we are doing only one thing, that is learning. Basically, through formal education, learning is expected. That is why we are saying that now education ought to be a learning process rather than a teaching process. So, process in the matter of education at all level should be concentrated in learning. The learning outcome of the student, that is very, very important. In the matter of measuring learning outcome through the processes happening in a formal educational institution, Benjamin Bloom made a broad classification, namely cognitive level, affective level, and psychomotor level. That is the basis of this taxonomy. 3 levels of learning outcome. That is cognitive level, that is the knowledge level. Secondly, affective level. That is the level of values or attitudes or interest. Third one, psychomotor level. That is the level of action. The issue of skill development comes normally in the context of action. In the context of learning also, skills have a role. I am not ignoring it. But as far as skill development as a whole is concerned, we can say that skill development is more relevant at the level of action. And through his book, Taxonomy of Learning, Mr. Benjamin Bloom identified different components of each domain or each level of learning, that is at the level of cognition, that is knowledge, at the level of this values or attitude, that is affective level, and at the level of action, that is psychomotor level. And he divided it into different compartments, and these compartments are different components, and each component may be treated as a step. From first step, we have to move ahead to the second step. So coming to the cognitive level, the first level of cognition is knowledge, second level is comprehension, third level is application, fourth level is analysis, fifth level is synthesis, and last level is evaluation. Knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. And for explaining these things, I will take equality as an example. So the first step is knowledge. From the first step, we may go to the second step, that is comprehension. From the second step, we have to go to the third step, that is application. From that application, next step is analysis. From analysis, next step is synthesis. And the final step, that is evaluation. At the level of evaluation, we will reach to the maximum level. That is the basis of this theory. And we can examine one by one, taking equality as an example. Knowledge. Actually, knowledge is defined as remembering of previously learned material. We can take equality as an example. We attended a class dealing with equality. In that class, the professor may say several things. Equality means like should be treated alike. Then among equals, law should be equally applied, etc., etc. By way of remembering these things, that is, equality means like should be treated alike, among equals, law shall be equally applied. we are reaching the first stage, that is the stage of knowledge. First step, the step of knowledge. So, first step in the ladder. Then, from that first step, we have to move to second step, that is comprehension. This comprehension is defined as the ability to grasp the meaning of material. This may be shown by translating material one from another. Generally, in mathematics, words to numbers, or by interpreting the material, etc., etc. For example, coming to equality. What is the relation between equality and discrimination? What is the relation between equality and arbitrariness? What is the difference between equality and equity? Is it possible to ensure equality to all? Because human beings are unequal, human situations are unequal, climate is unequal, materials and resources available are unequal. Then, is it possible to ensure equality itself? At the level of comprehension, all these things will come into the picture. That is the second step. Then, from the second step, we can move to the third stage. That is application. How we can apply this concept? As all of us are well aware, at the application level, we have certain standards. Namely, classification is possible. Class legislation is but prohibited. Classification is possible. That is strategy at the application level. Then we have the 10th test, intelligible differentia, rational nexus. By way of adopting this test, intelligible differentia and rational nexus, when we are addressing an issue, we will go to the level of application. For example, UGC introduce a new, now we have this new system or this reservation for economically weaker sections. Economically weaker section. Who can be who may be treated as economically weaker? For that purpose, some standards are essential. In the matter of development of these standards, we have to depend on certain things or certain strategies developed for the purpose of application. For example, in the standard in relation to arbitrariness, what should be the income limit? That income limit should not be arbitrary. This standard may be applied. If you are, so equality basically prohibits two things. Equality prohibits discrimination. Secondly, equality prohibits arbitrariness. So here, in the matter of identification of beneficiaries for new generation reservation, I use that terminology, new generation reservation, that is reservation for economically weaker sections. The standards related to arbitrariness will come to the picture. Anyway, if we are able to develop a standard for the purpose of application of anything related to equality or an action having the effect of violation of equality, then we will reach the level of application. So the first level is simply remembering the thing or understanding the thing, that is knowledge. Second level, comprehension. We are going more deep, that is the second stage. Third one, application. Then, fourth one, analysis. in analysis refers to ability to break down the material into component parts so that its organizational structure may be understood. Here, we are breaking down the concept of equality to different parts. For example, there is the concept of formal equality and substantive equality. Equality and rule of law. Then the example mentioned earlier, equality and discrimination. Equality and equity. So, when we are developing our capability to break down a concept or break down a thing already understood into different components and identify its interrelationship within the framework of the organizational structure, we will reach to the stage of analysis. Then, synthesis. The synthesis refers the ability to put parts together to form a new one. Here, I would like to use a strategy for writing an article. Suppose you are going to write an article on equality in the matter of family life. Equality in the matter of family life. Here, first you have to understand what is equality. Equality may be break down into different parts. Then you may understand the concept of family itself. The family, husband is there, wife is there, children may be there, parents may be there. All these may be treated separately as different parts. Then, on the basis of our equality concept and its different components, and on the basis of our family and its different components, and on the basis of allied things, for example, income, that is one aspect, dignity, another aspect, mutual help, another aspect. There are so many things. After breaking down all the aspects separately, we can formulate a new thing. We can develop a new thing, that is synthesis. Through this development, you can write an article. You can mute a new theory. You can mute a new theory. That theory may be a theory which may be treated as an anarchic theory. So, through this process, we can develop new ideas, new theories, new systems, new mechanisms, etc. That is synthesis. Finally, evaluation. Evaluation is concerned with the ability to judge the value of the material, statement, novel, poem, research report for a given purpose. So in evaluation, at this final stage, you have to examine the effect or value of the newly generated material. If it is found that this newly generated material, maybe an article, for the purpose of easy reference, we can think about an article related to one specific aspect of equality, an aspect of equality, that article should be useful to the future generations. That should be useful to the society. That aspect may be considered. And if it is found that it is not useful, some value addition may be done, that is evaluation. So this is the seven levels of acquisition of knowledge. These are the 7 steps: knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. In later stage, bro revised it. Earlier, noun is used. Later stage, he used verbs. Understanding. Knowledge is understanding. Sorry, now knowledge is remembering. Comprehension is understanding. Then application is applying. Analysis or analyzing. Synthesis as evaluation. Then last thing is creation. I think the revised form is better. Remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating. Because synthesis is avoided. Then a new thing, creation. Creation, that is better thing, because I used the cited the example of writing of an article. So this is the level of knowledge or learning at the cognitive level. Then affective level. Affective level is actually it is related to our feeling. Our feeling may ultimately resulted in the change of attitude. If we have better feeling, that feeling would have the effect of changing our attitude. And in the matter of learning at the level of feeling, earlier learning at the level of knowledge or intellect, now learning at the level of feeling. Now, when we are discussing about education, earlier we will say that education means 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. Now the modern concept is that 3 X: head, heart, and hand. Actually, head is related to this cognitive level or level of intelligence. Then H denotes the level of feeling, that is heart. Third one, hand, that is the level of action. Anyway, coming to the affective level is the level of the heart, or affective level is the level of the feeling. As far as feeling in the process of learning may be classified as receiving, responding, valuing, organizing, characterizing. First step is receiving. Second step is responding. Third step is valuing. Fourth step is organizing. Fifth step is characterizing. We can take the example of equality also. Receiving is being aware of the sensitive to the existence of certain ideas, material, phenomena, and being willing to tolerate them. Examples: to differentiate, to accept, to listen, to respond. So, at the stage of receiving, we will be familiar with the thing or sensitive to the existence of the idea. Because we know that equality is there. Equality is there. Then equality may be differentiated from equity. Or we can accept that equality is there. So, there may be some curiosity to learn more about equality. Or we like to make some response to equality. Then we reach the first stage, that is receiving a thing. Receiving a thing. In classroom transaction, I think teachers are here. In classroom, we can see so many students. We are receiving. Teacher may deliver a lecture. Earlier, student may think about something. That was in the earlier stage at the time of my college days. Now, there may be cell phone in their hands or laptop, iPod, something like that. They may be in that material. They may be in some other world. In such a situation, receiving is not at all happened. We can say receiving is happened if the student is able to differentiate something said by you. Student is able to accept something said by you. If students had shown willingness to listen to you, or students are ready to ask a question, that is the first stage, receiving the thing, receiving the thing. So, coming to the example of equality, as I mentioned earlier, if student had asked a question regarding equality, maybe a general question. Sir, is it possible to ensure in equality at all? In the context that human beings are unequal, then the student, we can imagine that, or you can estimate that student has reached the level of receiving. That is the first step. Second one, responding. Responding is committed to some small measure to the ideas, material or phenomena involved by actively responding to them. Actively responding and passively responding to them. Student may ask a question. If the question is for the sake of question, then the student reaches only at the stage of receiving. If the question is the result of his thinking, or question is the result of his genuine doubt, we can assume that the student has reached the stage of responding. Examples are to comply with, to follow, to comment, to volunteer, to spend leisure time in, to acclaim. After hearing a class, if the student is ready to spend some time to study the inequalities existing in their locality, or in the matter of rights of the women, or in the matter of different categories of employees within the education institutions, difference between non-teaching staff and teaching staff, etc., etc., then the student may, we can assume that the student has reached the level of responding. Next one, valuing. Valuing is willing to be perceived by others as valuing certain ideas, materials, or phenomena. Examples include to increase measured proficiency in, to relinquish, or to subsidize, or to support, or to debate. So, the valuing is the next higher level. Here, for example, in equality, Suppose the student is willing to accept that in his personal dealing, that is dealing with others, the equality aspect is ignored. And from today onwards, in my dealings, the equality factor may be, or equality may be a dominant factor or a major factor, then the student may reach the level of value. So, that is the third stage, value. That is the highest stage. Organization. Organization is related. Organization is to relate the value to those already held and bring into harmonious and internally consistent philosophy. Examples are to discuss, to theorize, to formulate, to balance, to examine, etc. etc. When we are discussing our social life, we can broadly classify our social relationship in terms of style of life, pattern of behavior, appearance and appearance. Coming to the last thing, appearance and appearance. Suppose, by way of understanding the inequalities existing in a society, a student decides that from today onwards, normally I will wear only dresses having average cost. Suppose the student is interested in wearing Van Gosen, Peter, Louis Philippi, and this shirt, Van Gosen shirt, Louis Philippi shirt, or this Park Avenue shirt. By way of understanding the concept of equality, yes, in my class there are so many students who are not able to wear such a costly shirt, or their shirt may be below 100 rupees. So I may not wear such costly shirts every day. He may reach to the level of organization, or he is prepared to consider that issue or discuss that issue with the parents. Then he will reach the level of organization. That may be a new theory also. That may be a new formulation also. Or even he has shown a willingness to examine. Then the student has reached the level of organization. Lastly, characterization. At the level of characterization, the student will become the person who assimilated the value of equality in all his dealings, including style of life, pattern of behavior, and appearance and apparent. The equality concept will be there. For example, by way of this accepting certain values, a non-vegetarian person can turn as a vegetarian. By way of characterization, a person can relinquish his habit of taking intoxicating liquor. If a student reaches such a stage, he had attained the highest level of the affective domain. That is characterization. That aspect of that value had become the part of his character. That is characterization. Then coming to psychomotor level. That is the level of action. It is actually Benjamin Bloom had given the details of this cognitive and affective level. All these components of psychomotor domain have been developed by his disciples. And different persons motor different theories. I am presenting only one thing, that is in the formulation of David. That is imitation, manipulation, procession, articulation, and naturalization. Firstly, imitation. Suppose we met a person who is the champion of equality, who is fighting against all type of inequalities. Suppose he is an activist having the dedicated life for the cause of equality. The first stage, one person may imitate a person. That is a level of imitation. Second stage is manipulation. Generally this manipulation is not a good word. But manipulation can be used in the good sense also. At the level of manipulation, there may be some difference between the activities or actions or the persons from whom we imitated the thing. So, actually firstly we imitated a thing, but we modified that thing. At the level of modification, we will reach to the level of manipulation. Because bare imitation is not fit for us. Because our area of operation may be different. The social situation faced by me is different from that of that original person. So some modification or adaptation is essential. That is manipulation. Then we will raise the level of procession. When we are reaching the level of procession, we will further modify it, taking into account of our peculiar situations, taking into account of the courses of action in which we may involve, taking into account of the social situation, etc., etc. In that stage, we will reach to the level of procession. The third stage, we will reach the level of articulation. We ignore all things are not relevant for us. We identify more things which are relevant to us. We sharpen. That is articulation. In naturalization, this will become a natural process. The classic example of naturalization is driving. At the beginning, for the purpose of changing the gear, we have to apply our mind. For the purpose of using steering, or for the purpose of turning, take a unit, for example, for taking a U-turn, application of mind is essential. But after having a driving for, after having the experience of driving of 10,000 miles or 15,000 miles, everything will be natural. If Professor J.B. Reddy starts from his house, when he reaches the highway, naturally he may take left turn or right turn, which is necessary for reaching Usmania University. When he is reaching this then our Vidyanagar, naturally he will take another turning without applying the mind. When he reaches in front of the arts block, naturally he will move forward, etc., etc. Through this process, without application of mind, Professor Reddy will reach in the Department of Law or University Law College of Usmania University. That is naturalization. So imitation, manipulation, precision, articulation, and naturalization. In coming to the case of equality, when we reach the stage of naturalization, in every case of inequality, you will naturally interfere. Without further reading or further thinking, you will be interfere. That is naturalization. That is all regarding this Bloom theory and its relevance in legal education. And I think you may have so many questions, at least for some teachers. This may be something new. Anyway, I will again show the important slide. This theory is related to student outcome. There are three levels: cognitive, that is knowledge; affective, that is values and attitude; psychomotor, that is the level of this action. Then coming to knowledge level, 7-step: knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Then he modified it: remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, creating. Then coming to affective domain, that is a level of feeling, receiving, that comes from our heart, receiving, responding, valuing, organizing, characterizing. Last one, psychomotor level: imitation, manipulation, precision, articulation, naturalization. Okay, we have half an hour for discussion.
The first question, sir, can you explain how taxonomy can help reaching conclusion on abstract hypothesis relating to environment, education, and constitution, sir?
First, you have to identify different component of each of these concepts. What is environment? What is the foundation of the concept of environment? Here, since you are doing research for PhD, the PhD means Doctor of Philosophy. So firstly, you have to go to the basic philosophy of environment, or environmentalism, or protection of environment. This universe, its inhabitants, human beings, their interrelationship, all these things should be identified, and different components may be identified. Then coming to education. What is education? What are the different components of education? What is the difference between formal education and informal education? What is the difference between education? What is the place of knowledge in education? What is the relevance of this values in education. What is how wisdom is related in education? So you have to identify different components of education also. Then coming to constitution. What is constitution? What is the relevance of constitutional system of governance? What are the new developments in constitutional law? Because constitutional law developed in the context of this emergence of human rights, emergence of human rights. Then new moral philosophy and political philosophy related to constitutional system of governance, welfare state, sufficiency, equality, equity, etc., etc., etc. Then, so you have identified different components. That is the first step. Then, which components are relevant for establishing your theory? Suppose in environment, you identified 50 components. For discussing environment, education, and constitution, only 6 components are relevant. You components. But before ignoring a thing or before avoiding a thing, you may test and retest and retest. That is very, very important. Every stage, periodic revision is essential. Then coming to education. Suppose you identify 70 components related to education. For your discussion, for your article, or for your theory, only 10 components may be relevant. Identify the components which are relevant. Then coming to constitution also. You identified so many things. For example, I implied limitation in constitutional amendment. That may not be relevant for our purpose. Then this is a social contract theory. May be relevant or may not be relevant. May not be relevant for our discussion. Identify the components of education which are relevant for our discussion. Then there may be 20 components on environment, 25 components from education, 30 components from constitution. How we can relate this component and establish a theory? That is your concern. You have to develop the capacity for creating a new thing. Then your thesis will be ready. Okay? So the answer is satisfactory?
Yes, sir. So the next question is, as educational experts around the world have said, the incompetency of Bloom's taxonomy during the pandemic cycle, what change the Bloom's taxonomy has to undergo to suit the virtual legal education and learning?
Actually, I think this framework of Bloom is relevant in all contexts. I think cognitive level, affective level, and psychomotor level. Basically, it denotes 3 H: head, heart, and hand. Because our intelligence is very relevant in any context. Second one, our feeling is also relevant. Thirdly, our action is also relevant. But during the period of pandemic, we are adopting our own strategy for the purpose of learning. Now, this is the period of virtual learning. Now, virtual learning means learning through Google Meet or some other device, etc., etc. I think that is only in the beginning stage. The virtual learning itself has many dimensions. I am not ignoring the fact that there are some online courses, then this online degrees, etc., 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 etc. But I think this online learning and online degrees, all these things are in the beginning stage. So we have to develop new strategies. First thing, we have to develop new tools. That is very, very important. New tools, new audiovisual tools, new literature, etc., etc. New tools, new tools, new strategies. Anyway, this pandemic paved the way for developing a new education model. And that education model may be suitable in certain contexts or other contexts that may not be suitable. Anyway, throughout the world, there is some shift. For example, classroom, ordinary classroom. The importance of ordinary classroom is diminishing. But at the same time, importance of campus is increasing. In campus, there may be so many activities. I am planning to reschedule our class from 8:30 to 1:30. Afternoon, some engagement in lawyers' firm and this lawyers' firm and this judge's office, etc., etc., corporate offices, etc., etc. At the same time, I am going to increase the time for playing games. Now we will shut down our floodlit or our stadium, floodlit stadiums by 8 p.m. That may be changed to 10 p.m. because more time may be given for the purpose of play. Then so many permutations and combinations for the purpose of selecting elective-based studies, for the purpose of specialization. That things are happening. So even before this pandemic period, the importance of classroom is diminishing and importance of campus was increasing. That was the position. That will further change in the post-pandemic era. Okay, that is my personal point of view.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for answering the questions. Now I request Professor Gali Vinod Kumar, sir, to propose vote of thanks to Professor Sunny, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Okay.
Thank you very much. It is my immense pleasure to propose vote of thanks. Our beloved senior colleague, excellent teacher, Professor Sunny from Kerala University Vice Chancellor. So I welcome, sir, on behalf of the Department of Law and on behalf of the participants. You explained well, sir. The theory Bloom's taxonomy is a new theory, and also it is a new method theory for every teacher to learn and to research and how to learn in teaching, and also in teaching methodology, and also in skills of teaching, learning, and research. How to, by using of the Bloom's taxonomy, you explained well, sir. It is so fortunate for us, to listen your valuable lecture, sir. It is this is your valuable. You have spent a valuable time. Thank you so much, sir, for on behalf of the Department of Law and particularly myself. Thank you so much for attending and sharing your views, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Vinod Kumar. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much.